Well, I know most of y'all already know David Ballard, but I want to talk about him just for a minute or two. Number of years ago, when I first started with this congregation, which has been over 10 years ago, we didn't have a missionary that we were supporting, and I got an invitation to go to one of the congregations over at Idabel, Oklahoma. And they invited me to come over and listen to this guy, and he had an entourage of folks with him from Cameroon, Africa. Had a little fellow with him named Alangway, about 7 feet tall. And I would love to see him and his wife again sometime. But David grew up down in Texas. He makes his home at Pattonville, Texas. We do this work through Bear Valley Institute out in Colorado. They're involved in the work too. And David, I know there's a write-up on him on the inside of your bulletin. Most of you found that by now, and I won't go into all of that. But the newest work that we've picked up involving this missionary work is the work in Chad. And David, I've asked him if he will this morning to comment on the situation in Nigeria, where a lot of Christians have lost their lives over there, and a lot's going on in that country. He's pretty familiar with all that goes on over there. He has to be to travel back and forth. But, you know, the longer I know David, the better I like him. And he's got a lot of skills. He's got a lot of life experiences. And if you missed his Bible class this morning, you missed something pretty good.
Amen.
He gave a personal testimony, which I've known him several years, and I've never known all of that. He and I have gone to, we've sat together in lectureships at Harding University together, and you know, the longer you know somebody, the more of those kind of things you get insight to. But he is a retired teacher, taught mathematics, calculus, agriculture, I think, and he farmed some, raised some hair sheep, and does a little bit of gardening. He's got a lot of life experiences, but he's probably one of the most skilled taxidermists. If you're interested in that thing, I never had enough patience to do that, but I've seen longhorn cattle that he's taxidermied, and bison, lots and lots of deer. He told me this morning that he'd last couple of days been working on a bobcat. Now, if you got enough patience to skin out the toes on a bobcat, you got a lot of patience. But anyway, if y'all give David your attention this morning, I sure appreciate it. He comes to us from Pattonville, Texas.
Thank you. It's always great to be here. I actually have a presentation thanks to your great technology, folks. They are smarter than I am on that. I actually did pull a bobcat hide out of the tanner about 5:15 this morning and did a lot of other things before I left to come. It's about an hour and 40-minute drive across, and in my hurry, I didn't grab my iPad, and so that's usually what I'll wire straight in, but y'all's great technology crew got it all set up where I could just Bluetooth across there to that projector, and so I'm so thankful. And you will be too, because you can look at that instead of just having to hear me talk. 2 Timothy 2:2 says, "The things that thou hast heard among many witnesses, the same commit thou to faithful men who can teach others also." And we like to say that's 4 generations. What you have heard from faithful men, teach others who can teach others. And we're into 5 generations of preacher training in Cameroon and Chad now, which I'm happy about. And we need to be able to do the same thing. Some of these slides you've seen before, some are going to be new. Bobby asked me to talk a little bit about what's going on in Nigeria and other places, so I'll explain that and then maybe talk faster in some other places. Let me get my laser pointer here. If you can see where the laser is showing up right in here, Lake Chad is right in the corner of Cameroon Chad, Niger, and Nigeria. Around Lake Chad area, right in here, you can see, is where the Boko Haram, that's the radical Islam that's in that part of Africa is. And they're a part of ISIS. Now, let me say this. Not all Muslims are radical. We interact with them every day in the work that we do, especially in Chad. I buy my cold water from a Muslim store that gets me through the day. And we've converted a lot of Muslims. But the radical faction are dangerous. They don't have any regard for human life because, you know, the Quran says to kill the infidel. And they take that serious. And to them, the infidel is the Christian, but not just the Christian. You may have heard in the news where the Nigerian government would say, they're not just killing Christians, they're killing Muslims. Well, if you're not a faithful Muslim that's into killing the infidel, they'll kill you too. So the radicals are killing other Muslims that are not radical Muslims, and they're killing Christians, whatever they need to do to take over the territory they want. So they've got an enclave around Lake Chad, and they're trying to expand their territory. And when they get ready to expand it, they just go shoot up a village, burn it down, run the people off, and now they've got more land. That's sort of the gist of what they're doing. You may have heard that there was 300 schoolgirls abducted not long ago in Nigeria. As of now, I don't know if you heard, they've all been released. 50 got away to start with. They're not treated nicely. I won't talk about how they're treated, but one of the things that they will do, the radicals, they will go and they will steal girls, and they will make them their mistresses and eventually their wives, and so you can tell they're not treated very well. I'll leave that where it's at. Now, what will happen when the President of the United States said we're going to go after those, if the Nigerian government doesn't, here's what happens. Either way, they're going to go somewhere, right? When you start going and attacking in northern Nigeria, where are they going to go? Well, Niger, Chad, and Cameroon. And so these governments have fortified their borders, so if they're attacked and they come running, they're going to push them back. Okay, so it creates challenges in other countries. Well, that's kind of what I know about that. If you have more questions, let me know, but that's what I can say about that. Now, the big red zone, you've seen it before. This is where our sphere of influence is going with the work that you're sending through Pattonville for Bear Valley. As you know, we started our work in Cameroon on the English side, moved to the French side. We now have a school in Mundu, Chad, and we're bringing guys from Central African Republic to Chad, and we have brought some guys from Democratic Republic of Congo to Cameroon. The problem is there's some radicals over here in Rwanda area, and those radicals killed a bunch of Christians last year, if you remember. You may not have heard about that one. They went into a church, and anyway, it wasn't good. And so our students who graduated in Cameroon couldn't go home. It was too dangerous to go home, and they've been stuck in Cameroon for 2 years. And we had 4 students who were supposed to go from Congo to Cameroon to study, and we can't get them there. We just got one of our students home from Cameroon. He's been stuck for a year and a half. Anyway, so when things get a little better in the Congo, we'll start bringing guys into Cameroon to train. But we've got 2 trained guys from Congo presently. So again, you gotta. My sister says you can't preach when you're dead, so we try to stay alive. I'll just say it like that. So we have to protect these guys too. Our school in Watutu, Cameroon, on the English side, started in 2011. My first trip there was June of 2011. The numbers continue to increase. 141 graduates. That's what it was last time. But the number of baptisms is increased, and the number of restorations. This is as of December of 25, just last month. And so we started that school. This is the graduating class that graduated in December. You may have seen that picture. This is our new students that have started. This gentleman is Louis Basai, who teaches short courses for us in the school. This is Louis and his wife Linda here. She teaches our wives classes. Some of those, we've got 8 wives classes that we take, that they take. This is the present students in the Bear Valley Bible Institute. One of those students, I'm going to try to pull him out here, and I'm going to use up more time than I've got. I'll find him in another picture later, maybe. It might be easier to find him. One of the students is our guard at the Watutu Church in the campus. We have to have guards for protection. And his wife is the first person I ever baptized in Cameroon, and now he's a student in the school. So his name is Mela Harrison, and I'm so happy for him. We do get used Bible songbooks and Bible tracts to Cameroon. You may have seen a picture sort of like this one last time, but maybe you didn't see the guy with 4 boxes on his head. That's over 120 pounds of stuff that they're balancing and carrying on their head as they're unloading that container. That container has about 4,300 and something boxes on it, about 17,000 pounds of cargo. That's about the 5th or 6th container we got. I'll talk about some of the material that was on that. Now, what we do with the used Bible material we get is we create 30-pound preacher boxes. And so those preachers get a start on a library. What you see in red is the life of Christ 1 and 2 from Truth for Today. So each one of them got that. They got a Bible, they got a songbook, they got a Bible dictionary, and some other things. I can probably find Mela Harrison there. Right there in middle, there's Mela Harrison. He's a good guy. His wife is the first person I ever baptized in Cameroon. He's been working for us as a guard for years, and I'm glad that he's ready to be trained as a minister. You can see a lot of these tracts are taken by car, by motorcycle. They're stacked on the heads and trekked, as they say, to the different villages and different places. Sometimes it's raining and they're walking for miles to get there, and they put plastic bags on them to keep them dry as they go. I've got to tell you something about trekking. This may be a part of my next one, but we went to a Labaila mission one time, and there were ladies from the church that were going to come and cook for us when we took all these students. I found out that those ladies, some of them walked over 10 miles to come and cook for us. And I offered to pay their way back with taxi fare. They said, no, leave that money in the church. We'll walk back. I almost cried. One of those ladies is the mother of our last year's valedictorian. Just some cool stars, cool people. It's like Bobby said, you get to know them personally, you kind of want to see them again. Here's our students out door-to-door evangelism. Got the nice soft benches there to study on. But people are open. You can see they're in the middle of laundry. Sometimes they're in the middle of making lunch. But we just sit down and study with them. I don't know if she's paying attention to what's said and thinking about it, or she's bored. But anyway, those photos kind of make me smile sometimes. But anyway, we do bring a lot of folks to the Lord. We have baptisms in some clean water, dirty water, and wherever we can get deep enough to immerse with. We started the French school in 2015. You know, the French side of Cameroon is 80% of the country, and that big red zone, most of that is French-speaking Africa, and so we wanted to begin to reach that. So we started that school in 2015. We've graduated 59 so far, 568 baptisms, a lot of restorations, 41 new congregations. There's presently 11 students. We were going to get 4 from Democratic Republic of Congo, but it's too dangerous to get them there. And now we're almost done with a semester, so it'll be next batch before we can get those students there. So be praying for that. This is our last graduating batch. They graduated in March. I was here about February, so y'all haven't seen this photo. This is Brother Todd Creighton there to the left. He's the preacher at the Frisco Church of Christ. He helps me coordinate that school. The young man next to him, I want to talk about him. He was in high school, and he wanted to come from Congo to from Congo to Cameroon to be trained. But our preacher training started before he got out of high school. And so he finished high school a whole semester behind in the work. he came, he caught up with all of his work, and he was the valedictorian of the class. His name is Pascal. It may be the math name that helped him. I don't know. Anyway, but he's a good guy. He stayed behind in Cameroon because it was too dangerous to go home. But he's got some evangelism work he's going to finish up before he goes home. So he's still in Cameroon right now. But a good young man. Brother Pascal, right out of high school, into Bible training school. This is our batch of students that just graduated in March from Benga. You can see the preachers and the wives. We do have a wives program there as well, and we give them a certificate of completion for that. That empowers these women to teach Bible class and to teach other ladies. They do a wonderful job. This is our present batch of students, minus one or two, in our school there in Benga. And I want to bring out this guy. This is Pa, they call him. He's the other Congolese guy. He left his family, wife, kids, grandkids, to come and be trained. He was a preacher, but he wanted more knowledge. And so he's been stuck for a year and a half. We just got him home about a week ago. And so he finally got to be back at home with his family, and he will begin to preach the gospel there in the Congo. So continue to pray for him. These are Bible tracts. We get them to Mission Printing from all over the place. We get all that stuff, and it goes to Watutu, Cameroon. You could see them unloading them. And then we get them in vans, and we get the French stuff over to Benga, our French school in Cameroon, via van, and it gets unloaded and then distributed to French Cameroon. But this time, we also got stuff for Chad. Chad is French and Arabic. And so we got French and Arabic material that got on vans. They went to the port in Douala and got shipped over to Chad and then bused to the school and all over the place. That was very complex to set up, and it took some dollars, but we got it done. And so here they are offloading those. They're taking their Bible, they're taking their tracts, they're going door to door, and they're winning souls there too. Again, sometimes the water's a little murky. I always laugh when we baptize in the Mongo River. There's crocodiles, there's piranhas, there's big old snakes, and then there's a lot of sin because we've left a lot of sin behind there too. But anyway, the first time I baptized in the Mongo, I thought crocodiles and piranhas and anacondas. I was a little bit nervous, but here I am. Anyway, I went in the end of September and the first part of October to teach, and I was supposed to go to the English side, teach a week, then the French side, teach a week, then go to Chad and teach a week. Well, I can't go to Chad because President Trump said no Chadians can get visas to come to America. They're on his dangerous country list. So the Chadian president said, well, no Americans can come to Chad. So right now I can't go, but I'm still running the school. So that cut my 3-week trip down to 2. But then I didn't realize I scheduled my trip right in the middle of the Cameroonian presidential election, which is a nice time for there to be problems. And so they didn't want me on the English side prior to the election because of turmoil. So they brought the English students to the French side, and I taught them all at one time, and then for 1 week, and then I left and got out of there before the election. And there was some trouble that we avoided. But anyway, this is English and French students together. I'm teaching them the New Testament church, and I'm going through the Good News study. I do project there. I got my computer, my iPad, my little projector, and all that stuff. We give tests. You know, I missed teaching school. I missed grading tests half the night, so I go to Africa and give tests so I have something to grade. That's not actually why I go. But anyway, so this is our students taking an exam. Hopefully you don't see anybody cheating. This is the French-speaking students that were there. This is our students in Benga, and then this is the English-speaking students that were there. So this was really good. I'm going to do this from now on. We're going to bring them together at least this once to teach them all at the same time, because it created camaraderie, it created some brotherhood, and so we realized, hey, we should have been doing this all along. But it was a great week that we had there. We got a new van through some donations for the school in Bangor. The other one was wore out. It was past wore out. Anyway, and so we're happy to have that. That's going to really help with the evangelism. This is Brother Emil. He's a very happy, friendly guy. He is the driver of the van in Bangor. So soon as we started the school in Bangor, we started bringing Chadians to Bangor, Cameroon to train and then send back. And so we trained several of those, and so now we have enough trained men in Chad through Bear Valley, also through Benin and Ivory Coast and Nigeria, that we can now have a preacher training school. And so we started that school, and the director of the school is a guy that was from Chad that we brought to Cameroon and trained him. And so now he's the director of the school. Great friend of mine, Brother Datuji. And you think of Langway's tall, you haven't seen my Chadian brother, and Datuji's the tallest of all of them. So we presently have 13 students in our school in Chad. 4 of those are from the Central African Republic, which means we're training guys from Cameroon. We've got 2 Nigerians in Cameroon, or 1 Nigerian now in Cameroon. So Cameroon, Nigeria. We got English and French Cameroon, we got Chad, we got Central African Republic, and we're trying to get our Congo guys back. So we're really ministering to several countries there, bringing guys in and sending them back. I'm the coordinator of the school in Chad as well. The school is in Mundu, Chad, which you can see is not too far from Cameroon there. We fly into Jamena. Now, above Jamena is Sahara Desert. There's not a lot of people live there. Below Jamena is Sahel Desert, and there's more people. It's really heavy Islam, especially around the capital. So it's sort of dangerous. When we fly in there, I spend the night, and then I worship with the church in Jamena, and then we drive 9 hours to Mundu. We try not to drive at night in the northern part if we can help it, because it's kind of dangerous to do that. Anyway, so that's where we are. When I went to Chad a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, we went from, I'll bring it up over here, we went from Jamena to Mundu, all the way over to Sar, all the way down and back, over 1,200 miles. There's not fences. So if you can think about driving 1,200 miles through a cattle pasture, that's what it was like. I had to go get physical therapy on my back when I got back. I'm really not kidding. It was rough, but it was great. It was very spiritually uplifting. The brethren are wonderful, but it's not an easy ride. This is our first graduating class there in Mundu, Chad. You can see I'm not only the lightest colored person, but I'm also the shortest besides the little guy beside me. They're really tall there, but they're, boy, just friendly folks. We ate, we went all over Chad, and they cooked for us. I mean, we had chicken and vegetables everywhere we went. And this is probably gross, but I came back and took ivermectin. You know why I would have needed ivermectin? It's yard chickens with, they have little worms crawling around in them. And sometimes when you're eating, you can see them, but you just go ahead and eat and take ivermectin later. There you have it. Anybody want to go with me? No, I'm just, I just had to do that for the young people, Anyway, but it's all good. Ivermectin got rid of it. Whatever, I guess. Anyway, so over here on the right-hand side is our graduates, the first graduating class from Chad, and their wives. They're just so beautiful, dressed in their white dresses. And to the left is our present batch of students in Chad. That was our incoming students. And they're doing a super job of learning and of evangelizing. We got a blessing. You can see maybe upside down that says Life of Christ, 1 and 2. Someone had asked for Arabic Life of Christ from Truth for Today, and they printed them, and then they didn't want them because the mission work stopped there. And so we found out they had them, and we said, hey, Chad is French and Arabic. Can we have them? And they sent us all of them. So we were very blessed to get some of those. And then the rest of this material is French material that will be used in the school in Chad. Wasn't easy to get it all there, but there it is. We built a little library. We petitioned off a wall in one of the rooms and made a library where all that can kind of be set up. Datuji, this is our brother Datuji. He's the director of the school there. He graduated from the school in Banga, Cameroon. We got him a motorcycle to go and do his work on. And he's going village to village, preaching the gospel, and also trying to find places where our students can go and evangelize. A really neat thing is going on there right now. They've taken some denominations, and there's a couple of different by name denominations whose preachers have heard the truth and obeyed it. And now those preachers are converting their former congregates, and we're starting churches of Christ in Chad in villages where there was no Church of Christ. Now, there's already been 2 of those, and presently they're out trying to do that in 3 more villages. And as they do that, then other villages are saying, hey, we heard that our brethren who were in false doctrine have learned the truth. We want to hear that same truth. It's amazing what's going on in Chad right now. So pray for that work. We're trying to feed them some funds to do that type of evangelistic work. Every one of the guys you see there were converts from a denomination who are now members of the body of Christ. And here's some more that were all converted. And so you can see the effect that the gospel is having. We're so excited about what's going on there. Sometimes we can baptize in streams. We have to go find a deep spot. Sometimes we have to pull rocks out and stuff and dig down in the river to try to get it. And sometimes we just use a tarp and we take a well water or just haul bucket water until you can fill it up. But when someone wants to be immersed into Christ, we make sure that they can. We have several, I got to speed up, I know we got several prison ministries. We've got the one in Banga, Cameroon. You know that the guy here that was translating for me is Brother Prince, who was wrongly imprisoned, finally released after 15 years. He was trained to preach in Banga, Cameroon, and now he's a wonderful, wonderful gospel preacher. We started a brand new prison ministry in the country of Chad. And you can see there with me standing up how I'm the shortest one again. But this is the officials, and they allowed us to start a prison ministry on the men's side and the women's side. I preached the first gospel sermon in the Chadian prison, in any Chadian prison, when I was there. And now we have a congregation there, and they're baptizing folks into Christ. And so we're so happy about that work. This is Brother Vincent, who is the minister for the Buya prison in Cameroon. Every one of those ladies you see are members of the Church of Christ. Wonderful, wonderful Christian sisters. And they were going with Brother Vincent to take food to the prison congregation. I've got to pull out one of these ladies right here. The one I've zoomed into in the middle there is Charity Ola. Her husband teaches for us in both of our schools. She's an elementary school teacher. She teaches every time we have a vacation Bible school. Now, when you have a VBS, there may be 80 kids in a little room, like 80 first graders or kindergarten. And Steve Marks went one time, he said it looked like somebody kicked the top off of an ant bed in there. But in Charity's classroom in Cameroon, VBS, there's not a soul that's speaking besides her. It's totally quiet. She is an amazing teacher, and she does a super job of teaching Vacation Bible School. I'd like to talk about every one of them, but I don't have time. So she got the spotlight today. Here's the baptistry that we built in the Chadian prison. Again, we're baptizing men and women, and we have a Church of Christ, the first ever Church of Christ in a Chadian prison. This is Brother Agbar James. We have a baptistry in the Kumba prison in Cameroon. They have to go out of the secure area to be baptized, so sometimes it's 2 or 3 months before the prison officials will allow a baptism. And so we bought an inflatable swimming pool so that we can baptize more often. We've had this thing over 2.5 years, and it's still working. It takes about 2 people to push down hard to get them under, all the way under, but they get it done. Every one of the people you see were baptized except the people on the ends. Those are ministers. Again, they can't be baptized the exact day they want because they have to get an okay from the prison officials, but we're doing it more often with the swimming pool baptistry that we have. We have 3 radio programs in Cameroon. They're doing a great job. They're reaching a lot of folks. I've introduced you to those folks. Our graduates do mass evangelism every quarter to try to encourage congregations, build up congregations, and start new congregations. They're doing a super job of that. A lot of door-to-door evangelism and a lot of baptisms. When I show you the number of baptisms, that's only from our students while they're in school. It doesn't include all this extra stuff. So we've had thousands of baptisms and a lot of new congregations. Quickly, last time I was here, I did a presentation at the end of my presentation on when were Saul's sins washed away. And I'm going to go through that part right quick and then talk about something else. If you recall, he was blinded on the road to Damascus, and he asked the Lord, "Who are you?" And he said, "I'm Jesus, who you persecute." And he believed, and he asked Jesus, he said, what do I need to do? And he said, well, go into the city and it'll be told thee what to do. And he was blinded, but in his blindness, he fasted and prayed for 3 solid days. And so at the end of that, Ananias came and preached to him, and he was baptized. And so he asked the question, at what point were his sins washed away? When he believed trembling, when he prayed and fasted, or when he was baptized? And we said, well, in Acts chapter 9, it doesn't tell us. But we also have Acts chapter 22. In Acts chapter 22, verse 16, Ananias said, arise and be baptized and wash away thy sins, calling on the name of the Lord. And so the point we want to make is if you're saved at the point of belief, why did he have sins to wash away? If you're saved through praying and fasting, why wasn't 3 days enough? Why did he still have sins to wash away? So it's evident that his sins weren't washed away at the moment of belief. They weren't washed away when he prayed and fasted. They were washed away when he was baptized into Christ. I want to talk about the gospel. We preach the gospel. I would love to come and just have about a week to spend with you guys just sharing the gospel. But here I am teaching, and this is Karen Pond, and this is Steve Marks. This is Jairus, one of our trained preachers. We were studying in the village of Majuka, where we started a congregation. And one of these gentlemen that we were starting with's name is Felix. Now, the Felix of the Bible, he said at a more convenient time. And as we were studying, this Felix said at a more convenient time. He knew he needed to be baptized. Steve said, are you ready to be baptized? He said, well, maybe at a more convenient time. And so Steve took him to the Bible and showed him about that Felix, who said, go thy way at a more convenient time, I will call for thee. And he said, there may not be a more convenient time. If you're not baptized, you might lose your soul. And not only that, your wife may lose hers, and your kids may lose theirs, and everybody you know may lose theirs if you delay obeying the gospel, because how are you going to teach them something you've not obeyed? And so our Felix obeyed the gospel that day. He did arise, he was baptized, and his sins were washed away. And there's a picture of our Felix as a student in the school. And what he has is Bibles to take to folks that he's already baptized into Christ, as he goes out into the mission field to bring more souls to Christ. If you know what you ought to do to become a Christian and you're waiting, you're putting not only your soul in jeopardy, but you're putting the soul of everybody that you have an influence on, you're putting their soul in jeopardy as well. If you know what to do, why tarry? Arise and be baptized, and wash away thy sins, calling on the name of the Lord. Will you come while we stand and while we sing?
been to Jesus for the cleansing.